fellow gamers. Tell me, what do you see here? Do you know what I see? This is what we call a blank slate. This is what every dev creating a new IP sees when they first sit down to start a new brainstorm. An open space that is infinitely empty and yet also overflowing with endless possibility. Now let's say for the sake of argument that this developer is staring down the barrel of a slew of their 4 previous releases selling like shit. Obviously, the goal is going to be to right the ship. And the easiest way to do that is to look at what is selling the best and ape the ever-loving shit out of it. But then let's say that what sells the best is a genre they've already tackled. Very well in some cases, not so well in others. Then what do you do? Well, in the case of Insomniac, what you apparently do is borrow all the core aspects of your new game from other successful properties, throw them all in a blender, and hope they play nicely. Sunset Overdrive plays, but it doesn't play nicely. A new energy drink hits the market. This drink is produced by your typical greedy evil corporation. And guess what? Drinking said energy drink causes you to mutate into a walking scab monster. Soon your city is overrun with these mutated freaks, and it's up to you to save the world by stopping this evil soda maker from going national with their toxic energy drink. This is the plot of Sunset Overdrive. It's essentially written to have a Sci-Fi Channel movie of the week kind of vibe. Much of it is taken from campy 80s zombie movies like Return of the Living Dead, along with 70s era evil corporation horror like Soylent Green, all covered with a thick cake icing of, again quoting GameSack, "Tude." The plot in almost every aspect of the game is overflowing with "tude." Copious amounts of the word fuck, stereotypical characters like the snarky Ryan Reynolds type, the saucy Latina heroine, the basement-dwelling middle-aged LARPer, and so on. Numerous visual references to 80s films like Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, Return of the Living Dead, and Beetlejuice. And the whole thing plays out as though a 12-year-old wrote it. Words Mom said I'm not supposed to say and all. But this tude flies right in the face of the gameplay in some respects, as despite all the adult humor, the controls and gameplay feels like it was designed so that the young'uns could play it. I can close my eyes now and almost see the brainstorming sessions that caused this game to be what it is. Okay, sandbox games are all the rage now, so let's make it open world. Now, sure, we went dead serious with the Resistance series, to mostly high critical acclaim, but even just going half serious and half humor with Fuse backfired in a major way, so let's stick to the motif we do best. Snarky Pixar! Okay, for this to go really well, and for this to sell really well, we gotta hit all the demographics. We need to somehow make this game both M for mature and E for everyone, all at once. Now how are we going to do that? Okay, it's clear that everyone loves looking stupid in sandbox games like Saints Row and Dead Rising 3, so let's have a similar character creator mechanic. Good, got that down. We really want to have that in-your-face exports fall punk 90s vibe like Jet Set Radio had, because that's still all the rage with the teen folks 20 years later. So let's make all the clothes look like they were bought at Hot Topic or Spencer's Gifts. Check, got that down. Now, to back that up, we can avoid the cost of an original music score by cramming in all the angsty, teen-approved music we can find. So what do teens listen to now? Really? Fake punk, watered-down hip-hop, and something called... No. Dubstep? Really? It's called dubstep. That's what it's... Okay, never mind. Sure, let's just go with that. Now, if we're going open world, we need a way to get around in the environment. Stealing vehicles is just so Rockstar, and plus that would mean having to build a driving mechanic, and having lots of cars and civilians on the road, and that's just too much fucking work. So it's gonna have to be on foot. but moving on foot on such a huge map is going to make the game hella slow. Am I right? So what else can we do? Anybody? Yeah, I've played Infamous. Oh, yeah, the power line sliding, jumping on top of cars to cause super jumps and all that parkour shit. Yeah, I remember, sure. Oh, and the wall running from Prince of Persia. Yeah, that's great, awesome, super. And the double button press to snap land on objects and cane sliding from Sly Cooper. Yep, I got you. Let's just go with all of that. Yeah. No, I'm serious. Yeah, I know. If we make every available surface interactive like that, our character could potentially end up juddering around like Altair having a seizure, but we'll work it out in post. We'll throw some prediction in there so the game just has you latch on to whichever mechanic it thinks you were meaning to do, and we'll hope for the best, okay? Okay, so now, combat. How are we going to handle combat? Well, nobody likes melee combat anymore, but you got to be able to do something when you run out of ammo, so let's throw in the same simple weapon slash and ground pound and shit we had in Ratchet and Clank. Hell, I'm feeling generous. We'll throw in some of the dodge mechanics from Sly Cooper and call it a day. Done. Okay, now, it's an open world game. We've got to have weapons. And we're sticking with our cartoony, tongue-in-cheek wackiness those Sony fans used to love us for, so let's just take all the weapon ideas we left out of Ratchet and Clank and Resistance and toss them all in. And remember, this is an open world game, so we'll need a money system, shops where they can spend that money, and a player and weapon upgrade system to motivate them to do as much non-essential bullshit as possible to earn those best power-ups for their character and weapons. Aiming? No, we don't want to make it super hard to hit a target because we want that 7 to 12 age range to love it. So let's just make all the enemies have a huge hit detection box so you can aim a foot away from them in any direction and it's still a dead shot. But we'll throw in over-the-shoulder aiming with a built-in slow-mo mechanic so the adult gamers will think the gameplay is actually more sophisticated than it really is. I know, it's genius, right? No, they'll never notice that over-the-shoulder gives them no real advantage. They'll be too wowed by all the bright, pretty colors and reading the smoke words and the endless explosions. Sound effects? We already got plenty of those. We'll just recycle them from all of our old bullshit. Voice acting? Well, we'll just use a lot of the same actors we've been using because we can get them on the cheap and make it all hammy as hell so people who went nuts over Sharknado will take all of the worst lines and go viral with them. It'll sell. Huh? Oh, yeah, a sandbox game needs to have at least 20 hours of gameplay to it. No, I don't want to pay for 20 hours worth of plot. You looking to get fired, Johnson? You're pushing me, son. We'll do 6 to 8 hours of actual main plot, and the rest we can just puff up with recycled mini-quests, tower defense rip-off missions, and massive collectathons that would make shard hunting in Infamous look like a Sunday school Easter egg hunt. Okay. Let's see. Yep, that should about cover everything. So let's get to work! 10 months later. Okay, how we doing? What? It's too easy. Okay, well, you're going to be spending a lot of your time moving from mission marker to mission marker, yeah? So let's just make all the non-boss enemies endlessly respawn and run right for you wherever you go. Dozens of them on the screen at once. However many we can generate without dropping below 30 frames per second. This is Xbox One we're talking about, you know what I'm saying? Good, great. Work that in and get back to me. 2 months later. Okay, now what? The spawning enemies make it too hard now. If you're on the ground, you're going to get swarmed no matter where you go. God damn it! Where's your sense of balance, Johnson? Fine, okay. Let's just triple the amount of slide rails and power lines all over the map so the player rarely ever has to be on the ground, and we'll make it where most of the enemies can't get to them when they're up on the power lines. We'll throw more broke-down cars in, too, so if they happen to fall off, they can just hop right back up there. Oh, and make most of the weapons crowd control area of effect type shit so they kill massive multiple enemies at once. Then they can just wire slide back and forth around in circles and spam explosions at anything that moves. And if something happens to get on the line, they could just hop over it or cane slide under it, Sly Cooper style. Problem solved. Now get fucking to it! 1 month later. What do you mean the playtesters are still dying too much? The predictive platforming keeps making them latch onto the wrong stuff at random. Wow, what a surprise. Shit, fixing that is going to take months of recoding at this point. Okay. Let's just make all the enemies drop massive amounts of ammo and life ups, and to be safe, we'll just make it to where there's no penalty for dying, endless respawning, and we'll throw a handful of really snarky, funny respawn animations in there to hide the fact that there's no consequence for failure, and they'll think because we blew so much money on those respawn animations that we planned it that way from the beginning. Hop to it! 2 weeks later. Okay, yes, great. Tell me how you're going to stab me in the fucking back today, why don't you? What? It's still taking too long to move from one mission marker to the next. Have you not played any open world games, Johnson? Just throw in a fast travel system. Do I want it funny? Of course I fucking want it funny. Have the player get drunk and wake up in a porta shitter near their destination point or something like that. So what if the 10 to 12-year-olds see their character getting drunk? You know who else got drunk, dumbass? Fucking Dumbo, that's who. Don't hear Mama and Daddy complaining about that. Jesus Christ! Sunset Overdrive is a game that sets out to do a number of different things, but it's not particularly good at any of them, and fails to live up to all the games that it ripped off. It's an occasionally, almost possibly, just a little bit, maybe fun mishmash of components from more successful titles. In an attempt to cater to two very different age ranges, Insomniac has made a game full of multiple mechanics that don't work very well together, so they've had to essentially make the game unlosable, short of timed missions here and there. You can make it through 90% of this game by simply riding around in circles on the power lines, aiming at the ground, and spamming explosions. It's a game that cares more about sounding and looking hip and cool than it does actually being new and good, making the end product not just a partially humorous so-so also ran that has adult-rated humor, but gameplay a child could master. And if you don't believe me, look back over this footage and realize that it was recorded by my 12-year-old son. Sunset Overdrive gets a 4 out of 7.
Give me a fucking gun!